Okay, so this is from a previous class that I took some pictures and I showed that to you really quickly. This one I just wanted to show you again like what I do with these guys, and just like these ones kind of matches together. And then it's a different kind of way of working with Photoshop. What I mean by that is that when you make selection, in this part over here, I'll say to you like, I want to keep the castle, and obviously I want to change the sky. So how do you work around these things? So very simple. It's like you take the best selection you can have, like the best thing you can have as a tool. Some of them you select they are more precise, more advanced, but in this case, I love this one. I'll select the easiest thing, which is the sky. Seems to be like the same kind of color. Okay, I have a selection over here, and I'm not looking for a very precise selection because I just want to change the sky, and I'll if you've seen like to the class, it's just that I change the way that it feels. So in this one, I mean, the precision not very important. Like obviously like, these flags are not important to me, and then you'll see like I'll crop it at the end. So now the way that I was thinking about this is just that if you see the layers, the top one is the one's going to be the closest to your screen, so closest to you. And then when you add layers, the more they go below, the further they are from the screen, so the further they go into the screen. So in this case, going back to the selection, I don't want to keep the actual sky. I want to keep the actual castle. So you have a hotkey if you want to, or you can actually just say select and go to inverse, or the hotkey is Shift Control I or Command Control I on Mac. So I'm going to go to inverse, so you can see the marching hands that we call them are going the way or what I would like to have. The best hotkey for me is just the Control J, okay, or Command J. So now you can see that, oh, now you see the layers as far as depth. This one over here, that's the closest one, and this is the furthest one. This one includes the sky, this one doesn't include the sky. So if I'm thinking this way, if I bring something in between these two, it will do the magic trick that I would like to do. So in this case, I use, and I'll tell you one thing though, is also like the sky that you have, and the picture that you have. I know it's kind of getting technical. If you see the angle of where the person is standing and the angle of the sky, kind of look closely. If you're lucky enough, you can actually have it match correctly. In this other tutorials you can do and find that out. So, but anyways, so I'll use this guy. I'll use a move tool, which is the V key onto your keyboard. Click in the middle, hold on to my click, drag it to where I want to work. In this case, and just hold on to the left click and let it go into the middle. And I'm gonna place it. So now it's obviously like it comes in front. But as you see, like this is the closest. So you look at your layer panel. This is the closest to you. This is the middle part, and this is be the furthest part. So as I said, if you bring it in between those two, you will select. There we go. So now you have the sky that's being changed. And then I will talk about like what is the bleeding. Okay, so most of the times what you're going to see, like this is fairly easy because this is a castle, this is a building, so therefore you have a pretty good selection. But if you zoom in, you'll see what we call is the bleeding. And you have, like when you have a selection, you have multiples. If I go to a selection, you have what's called refine edge. So if I'm going to go right away, I'm going to hold on to control, click onto this. And I go to refine edge. And this will go later on to play with these things when you have hair. Okay, so these you can actually play with this, and you can see right away it's like it removed the bleeding we can call. I'm just going to cancel out of that. I'm going to deselect this, but it's just that you can see this is what we call the bleeding. So therefore, the sky color kind of got spilled onto the actual subject. So let's go back to the part because this one I'll make it quickly. Uh, am I concerned about the actual top of the castle? Not so much because I'll do some other editing into these things like later on, but just for showing you, here's the way that you can still think about the selection. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to remove that spill. Okay, so that bleeding of the color. If you hold on to Control or Command onto your keyboard on the Mac, if you click onto the actual layer, it will reselect this part. Okay, and then if you say Control D, if you go to Selection, you have Reselect. If you click onto this, there you go, you have this part. Now what I'm trying to do is just that I want to get rid of the bleeding. So in order to get rid of the bleeding, you need to actually make it smaller. Okay, and and how small is it going to be. It's up to you, and it also depends on the quality of the picture. So if you go to select, you have the modify panel where it's going to be like either expand or contract. In my case, I wanted to do a contract. So I'm going to go in here, and then by trial and error, I found out that 1 pixel works perfectly in this case. Sometimes you have to make it a little bit more because it's a good quality picture. So I'll press OK. Now, if you're going to delete or press on delete, it's going to delete the actual selection you have. That's not what I want. I want to delete what was the bleeding, so therefore I have to inverse that selection. So if you go to filter, sorry, not filter, select, go to inverse or shift control I. Now it's selecting kind of the sky, you think, but I'm not working on the sky layer, so therefore you don't have to worry about it. If I press on the delete right now, and let's go and see, so control D, so deselect this, or you can go to filter, select, sorry, and just say deselect, control D, see over here. Now let's go and zoom in to that part where they had to see that. You see like still some bleeding, so you can actually just work onto that if you want to with the clone tool, and they're also decontaminating. If you see like over here, you can say control, and if I make a selection tool, any selection tool will have that refine edge. So if I click onto here, you'll see like refine edges over here. If I click onto this, refine edges over here, and you have over here, it says like decontaminate color. So you can actually just click onto this and press OK, and it's going to look at whatever you have, and it creates a mask. You can see that the before and after. Sorry. So this was before. You see the actual part of the contamination. Click on this, activate it, and now you don't have it. So it's a better selection. There's so many things. Like Photoshop is really intense on selection, and you have to spend time into that. So now you have this kind of format, and then you can actually just make a select. You can actually just adjust the sky to match the actual foreground. What I mean by that is that we'll move on maybe to another tutorial to show you how to match this, because you can see like the sky, like the sun is over here, so this part should be brighter than this part over here. Still like fairly decent right now, but you see that this is really dark, so obviously this part needs to be darker, and those are little things you can actually do. So these are things that you can actually select, and this is what I do a lot with my photos. When I have not such an interesting sky, I do that part. So hopefully that helps, and the next thing I will do another one with maybe another selection, or maybe go on to the actual wild hair. Okay.